in algorithmic trading, traders can they can adjust the knobs. They can flip switches. They can take the risk you're taking down. They can make you more aggressive. This is usually called slippage and edge around a price. Our trader, really good trader, and he looked at it and said, we're being too aggressive in this market. I'm going to lower our applied edge. And he said, all right, we're at 0.25 right now. I'm going to change it to 0.020. He's taking it back 5/1000th. Except he didn't. He changed it to 0.2. A typo, a fat finger, an easy mistake to make. It applied the price. It updated our pricing of 50-ish contracts. And within 4.5 seconds, we had blown through every risk setting. The trade had determined everything had gone horribly wrong. It had started exiting our positions. Here's something for everyone to know in writing an automated trade. If stuff's going wrong and you automate the exit of your positions, you're compounding your loss. Always be careful about how you exit your positions. 4.5 seconds later, we were down just over $850,000. Actually, had we priced everything right, there was a huge move in the market that happened to correspond exactly with when we made the change. You will find this is exactly how it always goes. You only make mistakes when the market is going to hurt you the most. Had we not had this mistake, we would have made about $200,000 over a 30-minute period in the market time that came after it. So basically, with opportunity cost, we lost about $1 million in 4.5 seconds. So when you think, how can Knight, which was mentioned earlier, lose $440 million in 30 minutes? Well, the math starts to work out pretty quickly when you realize that like one trade in one market could lose that much in 4.5 seconds. I got called into the founder's office. I'm getting fired. Like, that's all that's going through your head. I was 25, by the way. Actually, I thought about saying, when you're 25, $1 million is a lot of money. Or this was back when $1 million was worth a lot of money. If anybody ever tells you that, just stop listening to them. $1 million is a lot of money all the time, no matter how old you are, no matter how successful you are, no matter what time it is in like the U.S. history and in financial markets. But I'm getting fired. I'm going into his office. He's going to can me. I go into his office, and I'm thinking, it's all on me. I wrote the algorithm. Like, this was my job. I should not allow a number that should never be submitted to be submitted and applied. So it's clearly on me. I'm out. Like, I'm going to have my wife proofread my resume. I'm done. Little did I know that he had called in the trader that made the mistake into his office. And that trader walked in and he said, hey, this is on me. I should have never typed that number in. I should have double-checked it. I should have triple-checked it. I didn't do my job. That was my job. It's on me. He called in the developer that wrote the GUI. That guy went in and he said, hey, the GUI, the graphic user interface, I think it's called like XUI now. That guy said, this is completely on me. The GUI should have never allowed for someone to enter that number. It should have marked it red. It should have never submitted it to the algorithm. This was my job. I failed. It's on me. He called in the manager to the desk. And the manager said, I should have double-checked everything my traders were doing. I should have made sure that the software on our desk didn't have problems like this in it. I should have made sure these guys didn't get cocky and that they were focused all the time. This is on me. This is my job to prevent this loss. None of us got fired for a variety of reasons. But the most important reason is because all of us took full responsibility. All of us knew it was our job to prevent the loss. You don't pay $1 million in tuition and then have it walk out the door, because the next guy won't have learned that and they're going to lose you another $1 million. That's why we stayed. But before the founder let me out of his office, he gestured out into the trading floor, 65 other people, and he said, you lost 9 salaries today. And you think about that. And then he said, this is our job. Every single person in this company has the job to make sure we don't blow out. There's 65 people employed here, and our job every day is to make sure that the mortgages and the families and the education funds that are being saved can come back and come to work again tomorrow. That stuck with me and changed my career. Because what I realized at that time was not my job doesn't exist. It's the 3 most dangerous words in the financial industry. There are careers out there where you can get away with not my job. If you'd like to have, here's the 7 things you do every day, just go do it, go somewhere else. Don't come to the financial industry, don't come to capital markets. The markets are an ultra-complex socio-technical system. That is a thing, Google it. There is 3 examples regularly given with ultra-complex socio-technical systems. Huge cities, the space shuttle program, and financial markets. That's how complex and interconnected we are. The financial market is just as interconnected as massive cities. Think the entire infrastructure of New York. It is just as connected as the space shuttle launches, the Challenger. Actually, there's a really cool story. Some of the people that did the best investigative work on financial crashes are the same people that were pulled in to look at the Challenger explosion because the complexity level is the same. What it means is everything you do has ripples, and those ripples can become waves quickly because ripples will interact with other ripples in ways you don't expect. There are implicit and explicit consequences to everything. There are intended and unintended consequences to everything in the market. And so that means there are implicit and explicit job descriptions to everyone who works in the market. So your job description might be very well laid out. You're going to have like the 10 bullet points. You're going to apply to the job because you go, I fit all, well, no. You're going to apply to the job because you fit 9 of the 10 bullet points, and you're going to hope they didn't notice that you don't fit the 5 years of experience and whatever they want you to have. Right? So you're going to apply to the job, you're going to say that, and you're going to go in, and then you're going to get the job. And they're going to tell you your job is to do X, Y, and Z, and it's going to be those 9 bullet points that you fit. And then they're going to tell you that you do this, and you'll get bonused off of this, you can get promoted off of this, you can make your career off of this. Those are the explicit job descriptions you have. Let's talk about the implicit job descriptions you have. Risk management. It is your job to manage market risk. It doesn't matter if you're not the chief risk officer. It doesn't matter if you're not the junior risk analyst. It's your job. It is your job to know how much position you have out on the market. It's your job to know how much position your neighbor has out on the market. If you're not even at a trading desk, it's your job to know how much, like the OCC was before us, it's their job to know how much the trading firms that trade through them have out on the market and then clear through them have. You need to know the market risk, and you need to know what could happen on both good and bad days. You all are very young, and when I say very young, I mean like I'm also too young for this. Me nor any of you remember the last time that interest rates went up week after week after week after week. It's going to happen again. You better go talk to somebody who's older than you to figure out what happened that time so you know how to manage your position now. Right? Let's talk about operational risk. Your job is operational risk management. You need to make sure everything is functioning properly. You need to make sure that 0.020 cannot become 0.2. Even if you're not on a trading desk, operational risk management is your job. Compliance, especially for the 30 developers who raised their hands, compliance is damn well your job. Because the SEC and the CFTC no longer take, I wasn't the trader, it wasn't my strategy, I just coded. You can't say I was just following orders. That does not work. So you need to know, is this something that is allowed? Is this something that is gray area? Does it look fine except in this one situation, then all of a sudden it doesn't look fine? Taylor explained to you spoofing earlier today. I can name for you 8 or 9 different things that look exactly like spoofing but is legitimate market behavior. How are you going to figure out the difference? You've got to know, it's your job. Finance. Not finance like the industry, but financing at your company, understanding capital usage, understanding exposure and how that impacts capital usage. That's your job. HR is your job. HR is definitely your job. The number of times I've had to pull people aside, some of which were my bosses, and say, we can't say something like that to someone we're interviewing. We're going to get sued. You can't do that, right? HR is your job. Treat people with respect. If you treat people with respect, your company will exist tomorrow. You can blow out in the market. You can blow out legally too, right? I could go on and on with the list of things that are your job because it's not my job doesn't work. That's dead. You have to move on. It's all your job. It's all interconnected. Now the question becomes, how are you going to learn this stuff? You are surrounded by some of the smartest people in the industry. I'm not saying that because of the 5 people talking here tonight. I'm saying if you get hired, you're surrounded by experts. Ask them. Just make sure it's real easy when you ask questions to come across as a complete ass and to come across as challenging. Always ask from a place of pure curiosity, and people will answer your questions. If you're at a firm where they don't answer your questions, or where they continuously blow you off, or where the answer you get is kind of like, man, I think they're avoiding giving me the right answer, you're probably not at the right firm. Move on. Go somewhere else. I've always worked at firms where they answer my questions. Now, a portfolio manager is not going to tell you how he trades. It's not going to happen. A quantitative analyst isn't going to tell you what her most recent secret was to get, to price the markets. But they might tell you the general concept. They're going to point you towards some research papers. There's not a lot that like 20 other people aren't doing, right? So there's always at least some level of information they can give you. So just ask. And then take that information and develop as broad a set of information as you can, because that's going to benefit in 3 distinct ways. It's going to benefit you. The way it's going to benefit you is your first job is most likely not your career. Treat your first couple of years in the financial industry as core curriculum at your college. Get as broad of an experience as possible. You will find what really makes you passionate. You'll find what you are really good at. You will find what gets you promoted faster, which gets you raises faster, which gets you into the job you like faster. You will be much happier. So get as broad of a depth of knowledge as you can. You want to go broad, you want to go deep. The other way it benefits you is it benefits the company. This is the second way. You raising your hand and asking what other people might think, or you might think because you're new is the stupid question, is exactly the question that oftentimes needs to be asked. Like I said, your compliance. Compliance is your job. If you don't think something is compliant, raise your hand and ask. If you don't feel like you can ask your direct boss, ask the chief compliance officer. If you're a trading company, you don't have a chief compliance officer, get a job at a trading company that has a chief compliance officer. Risk. If you think something is risky, bring it up, right? You could prevent 65 people from losing their mortgage or losing their college savings plan. Bring it up. You don't have to make sure you're right. I've heard people say, if you're going to challenge something big, damn well sure you're right. No, just challenge it. Talk about it. If anything, phrase it as the question. Can you explain to me how this is cool? I noticed this, this, and this. What am I not seeing? That's a great way to phrase it, because half the time they'll say, 99% of the time, they're going to say, you're not seeing this, and you're going to learn more information. That 1% of the time that they say, nope, you're seeing everything, thanks. And they take the trade out of the market. They don't put it in. They interact with their customers differently, right? That's the thing that benefits the company. Now, there's a third way that you get benefit from this. It benefits the market. Remember that I said ultra-complex socio-technical system. What that means is a person can impact technology, can impact a person, can impact technology. Shit can hit the fan real quickly. We are automating incredibly rapidly as an industry, and not just in our industry, but other industries. But honestly, finance has been on the forefront of a lot of that. When you automate your good and your bad, which means mistakes get automated much, much faster, and mistakes occur in an automated fashion. That's how you have $850,000 of mistakes in 4.5 seconds. It gets automated. No human can do that quickly with that size we were trading. So what you do then is you benefit the market, because when you know all this stuff, when you raise your hand, when you say, hey, that looks a little risky, and so maybe that doesn't occur, right? Or, hey, that could be a regulatory thing. We should talk about this. Awesome. Or I'd like to learn more about this so that I can make sure that our capital usage is actually occurring and that we're not way overextended. Let's talk about what happens if a trading firm truly blows up. And it's kind of a doomsday scenario, but it gives you an idea of how you impact everything. It only takes one desk at a market maker blowing up to blow up the firm. If that firm blows up, let's say it's not $440 million over 30 minutes. Let's say it's $4 billion over 30 minutes. Guess what? The clearing firm's gone. If the clearing firm is gone, their customers can't trade tomorrow. If their customers can't trade tomorrow, there's other people not profiting. If it's futures, there's a farmer in Iowa who can't hedge the risk of their crop. In fact, there's thousands of farmers in Iowa that can't hedge the risk of their crop. So now you're in even a bigger situation. So see, these ripples keep going. This is that little bug that went kerchoo thing, right? It keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going. So you benefit the industry, because when I say you can't say it's not your job and that everything is your job, you can't say protecting the industry you work in is not your job. It is your job to protect the industry. It is your job to make sure that all of us across every company can come back to work tomorrow and keep working. We're not widget makers. I heard somebody once say that in finance, especially in proprietary trading, you're a widget maker, but your widget is money. It's not what we are. We are all members of a giant machine that allows for people to hedge their risk and to distribute risk and to distribute investment. Our job is not to make money. That is a side effect of a job of running the economy. And when you're in capital markets, you are somebody who's running the economy. That's not just the job of like a Ben Bernanke. That's all of your jobs. And so that's what I'll leave you with. It's a serious thing. And if you just want to do the explicitly defined jobs, go to another industry. If you're willing to take on the explicit and the implicit job functionality, and you're going to do so really well, and you're going to ask those questions, and you're going to get broad knowledge, like, if I had the money, I'd hire you. Stay in this industry. And I think that I'm the last one, and so, drink beer with that.